Radio Freedom, we got it, so you got it, because we are you. We play what we want, Black-owned radio station, and always you are invited to call in 520-KJLH, 520-5554. We are being joined by the 12th mayor of the City of Inglewood. He's got 45 years in public safety and municipal government. He's got a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's degree in business administration from Cal Tech. He has been a chief of police, a police officer 3 times. Okay. Now he is this your third term as a mayor? Third term in mayor of the City of Inglewood, James T. Butts Jr. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
Oh, let me turn on your mic. Let me turn up your mic. There we go. Let's try that again. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
Much better. How are you?
Excellent. This is just a great, crisp morning.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful day. A lot going on. So let's start with Inglewood, because that's where KJLH is. So it's a really, really important city to us, but of course it's become a hugely important city to the region. What's new in Inglewood?
What's new? The LA Philharmonic Youth Orchestra building is about 3/4 complete. It's about 50 yards from City Hall, and they're going to migrate their youth orchestra program to Inglewood. Some of the greatest orchestra musicians in the world will tutor and mentor about 300 youth. Some will be from Inglewood. The Girl Scouts headquarters open about a quarter mile from Inglewood. The Market Gateway project, 221 units right there at the corner of Florence and La Brea, is about 50% completed. We have 101 unit affordable housing development at Florence and West, Redondo and West actually, right across from the proposed Fairview Heights Metro Station, that will house 50 transitional homeless persons and 50 low-income persons. And in addition to that, Grace Park opened. The Point right across from the Market Gateway project is starting construction. There's just so much development going on in the city. But the big thing about this is these are jobs for Inglewood residents. And we cut our unemployment rate from 17.5% when I took office, one of the highest in the country, down to 4.7% pre-pandemic, which is the lowest unemployment rate for any majority city in the state of California. So there's just a lot of things going on.
So a lot going on. Now, a couple things that caught my attention. The development you're talking about being 50% done. I forget what you just
50%
what the name of it is.
Homeless.
Okay, that's
50% affordable.
Right, that's the second question. The first question, of course, my first question was the one across the street from the station.
That's the Market Gateway project.
Market Gateway, and you said it's about halfway done.
Yes, it's about 50% done.
Okay, because I was wondering what that was. It's just like it's an apartment building.
It's 221 apartment units. The first floor is retail. And so what we're doing with Market Street, we're trying to make it a self-sufficient, standalone retail and entertainment district that is synergistic with, but not in direct competition with, the sports entertainment core in the center of the city. So there's going to be retail, entertainment, first floor. Below, the plan is some second-story residential. But then the anchor project is the Market Gateway project, which gateway is the gateway to that area on Market between Florence and Hillcrest. That used to be the downtown business district. And so now it's totally being reimagined.
Okay. So then the one you talked about, the other one you mentioned, which is transitional housing,
yes,
and low-income housing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I think, you've been doing a massive development push in the city, and the stadium, the arena. I mean, so much going on. We've talked about that on this show. But a lot of places that are kind of on the upswing in terms of their, some will say gentrification or development, are not inviting in homeless or formerly homeless, houseless people. How do you
balance that?
Yeah, how do you balance it exactly?
Well, the reality is this, and no one paid attention to Inglewood until, recently. And we have developed more affordable housing units in whole numbers and as a percentage of population than any place in the South Bay. We've continued unabated in providing affordable housing. So this is it's kind of a myth that this massive gentrification is going to push everybody out. What happened is Inglewood is a more desirable place to live. Crime is down. We're in our 10th consecutive year of the lowest crime rates in the history of the city. We've cut the homicide rate by 50%, comparing 10-year decade periods. This decade is the lowest average homicide rate in the history of the city. The crime rate the same. The property values have gone up on an average about 225% for a median priced home. So while you'll have more people of means that want to buy in Inglewood, you know why? Because it's a bargain. But at the same time, Inglewood residents that own property now for the first time have generational wealth to pass on to their children.
Yeah, as long as they can hold on to those houses. And that's the same conversation throughout all of South LA. It's like, please don't sell, and hopefully people don't get pushed or zoned out. But I think...
Hold on.
Okay.
First of all, you can't be
There was a question coming at the end of that.
Yeah, okay.
There was, Mayor Butts. No, the question is this. Clearly... Inglewood is on the upswing. There's no question about it. I think it's been nationally celebrated and locally celebrated as well. And I work there, so I know, but I guess the thing is, a lot of people do resist putting in that homeless housing. And I see that you're doing it. I think the way people get pushed out is that they get priced out.
Okay. So let's dissect that. First of all, if you own a property,
well, yeah, if you own
nobody
a property,
can make you sell. All right. Now, the reality is that there are cycles in the housing market all the time. Boom, bust.
Yes.
Housing prices are super inflated, and then they get depressed, like in the housing crash in about 2007. So that's a reality. And so at any given time, housing costs more, and sometimes it costs less. And so to point at Inglewood, which, think about this, that stadium project employed about 3,000 people on a daily basis. 1,200 of them were Inglewood residents. Now, more important than that, they gained job training, union seniority, and skills that now have allowed them to go on to other projects. Right across the street, there's a $1.8 billion Clippers arena project that will be there for people to transition to. So to look at this one aspect of, and I call it housing desirability, and to say that, we should wring our hands and say, we've lost. We haven't.
Well, I don't think it's about wringing our hands. Maybe I wring my hands. I try not to. For me, it's really about solutions. And I think for me and for you, we're going to look at it from the viewpoint of homeowners, because we own our homes. So, and I always say, even if all the black people in my neighborhood, get pushed out or decide to sell out because they want the money, I'm going to be that last black old lady on the block going, I remember when this neighborhood used to be black. But what about the renters? I think you've addressed it, right? And so to me, that's solution oriented, but dealing with the reality, which is not just a reality of Inglewood, but it is a reality in Inglewood, which is that for renters, not you and I that own our places, but the renters, the prices are going up. Well, I don't know if they're still going up in the pandemic, but they're going up in general.
So let me re-emphasize something. First of all, nobody gets pushed out of a home that owns it. They sell when they make an economic decision for themselves, and that happens throughout this country in every place.
I saw that in Venice, where elderly people were getting people were slapping with them with all kinds of zones and violations, in order to kind of price them out. Well, if you don't fix this, then, you're going to get, you're going to be fined and all these things. But I have seen that.
Okay, well,
when gentrification becomes, high pressure, like it was in Venice when I lived there.
We don't do that in Inglewood, period, unquote. Now let's talk about renters. Here's something that's very important to me. Over the next 5 years, there's going to be a lot more jobs available. In all of our development agreements, in every single one, we have local hiring goals. For the stadium, it was 35% for construction. And we're going to have the same thing for the Clippers built into our development agreement. That's very important that Inglewood residents get considered when you do this hiring. And it worked out for the stadium, like I said, over 35% ended up being Inglewood residents.
Nice.
Okay? So now you have to look at rent pressures, okay? When property values go up, rents go up. We instituted a 3% cap on rents in the city of Inglewood, one of the lowest caps in the state of California, because we feel that in about 5 years, these jobs will manifest themselves, and we want the local preference to go to people that have lived here.
Yeah. Well, and, I mean, I definitely don't want to let the show go by without acknowledging that, you led the way in the rent control that did happen in Inglewood, and you were ahead of the curve on it. We have it statewide now, but Inglewood had it first. So I give you credit for that. That's about solutions. But I think, also the other question is how do we define affordable? You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at that here in South LA on a wider basis, not just Inglewood itself. The conversation becomes, is it low income housing, or is it what they call, market?
Hold on. There's a federal index
market
for
rate.
affordability,
right,
and it defines it usually based on a family of four, and there's a matrix, and based on certain annual household income with the number of people in the household, you're either very low, moderate,
or market rate.
Or market rate.
Right.
And I don't have that matrix with me.
Right. No, well, you have it in your head, which is pretty amazing. But I mean, I think it's important for people to understand that when people say, because you said transitional homeless housing
that's
affordable. That's really different than market rate.
That's a whole different animal.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Okay. Transitional homely means we take people out of our service area for we're in SPA 8, and those are the people that are going to get preference for transitional homeless housing. Now, what that means is you get a place. The building has services, counseling, mental health counseling, job counseling, and services for people to help them make that transition from being homeless to housed and working. Then the other 50 are very low income for people who hit the matrix at very low income.
Right. And part of why part of why I'm pointing this out is, not just like, oh, let me put the mayor on the spot. It's because people need to understand that there's a difference between market rate, affordable, low income, very low income, and homeless, transitional. Those are all different categories.
They're all different categories.
And I think, we need to understand that. And I guess what you're talking about when you talk about transitional, this is a new model. They don't just want to put a homeless person in an apartment and say, have a nice life, right? Because we don't want people to be back on the streets.
Now, I want to give a lot of credit to Mark Ridley Thomas, who is the departed county supervisor for the Second Supervisorial District. This was something that he championed, and we wanted it in Inglewood, and he's on the LA City Council now, but I want to give a big shout out to Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas.
Yeah, well, he's Council District 10.
Yes.
And now we have Supervisor Holly Mitchell over the second. We have
excellent choice.
Yeah, she's, we were so blessed in that I did endorse her opponent, but we're so blessed because we have great leadership. I really believe that when I say it in the African American community here in Southern California. I mean, to have Karen Bass, Maxine Waters, Mark Ridley Thomas, all James T. Butts. I mean, I do think that's pretty unusual, actually. We got a deep bench.
You can't forget Sidney Comlocker, Assemblywoman. You can't forget Autumn Burke. You have a lot of great champions for people representing this district. The talent is overflowing.
No doubt. Let me ask you this. What are you most proud of? I mean, you've done so many things. You mentioned the orchestra, the youth orchestra. That's the kind of thing to me that speaks to a renaissance in a city, when you can have arts and, business thriving. You've done a lot of things, an arena, a stadium, housing. But there's got to be one thing that you say, wow, this is the thing I never thought I could do, or that I knew I could do, but I'm happiest that I accomplished.
I would say that we changed the brand,
for sure,
boosted community pride, more than restored the luster to the city of Inglewood, and we proved that a minority-led community could compete on a world-class level with any government in the country.
Absolutely. I think changing a brand and changing a culture, those are probably two of the harder things to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it takes not only a vision, but an ability to strategize, plan, and then to relentlessly execute those plans. And one of the things I'm most proud of the city council that we have is that there's a shared commitment to forward progress as opposed to mere politics.
Okay. Well, when is the Super Bowl? It's Super Bowl season, so I've got Super Bowl on my mind. When is the Super Bowl coming to Inglewood?
Super Bowl's always the second week in February. It comes to Inglewood in 2022.
Next year.
February of 2022.
Which presumably will be obviously will be the first Super Bowl with fans in the seats, we hope.
Isn't that? No, there's no hope. That's the way it's going to happen. According to Dr. Fauci, he expects by the third quarter of this year that the vaccination levels should be to the point that we can resume crowds and entertainment crowds.
So we're talking October, November, December.
Yes.
Which is still a full year ahead of when we would be looking at Super Bowl.
No, actually, no. It would be a mere 4-5 months before the Super Bowl, because this is 2021.
Yeah,
February 2022.
Yeah, so it'd be a year away from now.
We'd have to stay right on time.
Yeah. Okay. So 2020 just disappeared in a puff of smoke. It was like a bye. The whole world got a bye, but not really. Okay. So butts in seats. 2022 Super Bowl. We've got some folks on the phone. When we get back, we'll take your phone calls.
Hey, but don't forget worldwide wrestling entertainment, WrestleMania 2023. People are more interested in that than the Super Bowl, I found out. 2023,
the WrestleMania is a hotter ticket. Okay, Bobo says fans are going to be at this year's Super Bowl. Frontline workers get to go. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's not
fun fact.
Paying fans.
Doesn't mean I can go, though. Doesn't mean you can go.
They mean when fans can go back.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But I understood Bobo's point. I mean, I don't know why he's worried about it. Dallas is not in the Super Bowl this year.
Not going to be anytime soon.
You can talk back at me if you want, Bobo. I'm not just going to take shots and not let you respond. Oh, he doesn't want to. 5:28 in the morning. Continuing our conversation with James T. Butts, the mayor of Inglewood. I also want to talk to you when we get back about what happened in Washington, D.C. on January 6th and what they're talking about possibly could happen during this impeachment trial. You're a counterterrorism expert, many years in the airport as chief of police. Love to hear your take, and I'm sure we'll get some original insight on that when we get back.
Let's do this.
It's the front page. It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.